All right, so week 7 Q&A for the private group. And we'll just get started here. Byron Roberts, do you think it would be a good idea for a homestead to have a backup tractor that's non-electric? Or install an EMP shield on the current tractor that has electronic components? I would do both, man. What does a non-electric tractor look like? I've always heard from fiction stories that like a Ford 8N tractor will run after EMP. I've seen super clean ones for $4 grand. Neighbor up the way here just moved in, and he actually is picking up a Ford 8N tractor. I think 8N, or maybe there's a bunch of them around there, but a Ford tractor. The thing with that is it's super uncomfortable. Will it plow? Will it pull implements? It will. It does everything slower. It's very fucking hot on those things. And an EMP shield will cost you, an EMP shield for like a vehicle, it's only a couple $100. I would guess that it is the same thing that would get wired into a tractor. And if you're interested in more information on that, I can put you with somebody directly at EMP Shield. We also have an EMP Shield code that gets you $50 off of your order, and the code is capital SOE. I don't even know that it's case sensitive. But Brian Frazier, John, I leave all my shotgun cards loaded like magazines. Is that not the way to use them? Mine are several years old, never had a problem yet. Shotgun rig is awesome for bird hunting. So the answer is, I have seen dudes with pull-out trays that are 25, 30 years old, haven't had any issue. And then I get dudes that come in and they're like, hey, my shell's falling out of this loop, the elastic. So I question, like, maybe they had them next to something that was an off-gassing that broke that down. There's not a rhyme or reason. It's very few and far between. And it's never like a dude. It's never anybody I know that has had a failure. It's never anybody that's using the stuff for real that's had a failure. It's always a dude. It's never a dude that's got his shit together that has had a failure on a shotgun card. So I don't know how to answer that.
I've seen this question come up a lot before, and I don't have any shotgun cards, but I have a tool bag organizer that I use every single day. Pull shit in and out of it every single day.
Yep.
And it's about 7 years old, and like at the top of the elastic, it's a little bent out, but it hasn't lost retention at all.
Yeah, the answer is it's made of rubber.
Yeah.
So rubber is eventually going to dry rot. If you're concerned with it, maybe have the stuff that's immediately accessible loaded outright, but don't keep all of it in the hot heat in your car all the time. Have some extras that, you know, maybe aren't. I don't have a good answer for it. Anytime I've had a dude tell me that, though, it's always kind of a goober. It's not like a dude. Ephraim Gilming, along with your permaculture education, have you gone down the herbalism rabbit hole, figuring out what native weeds and edibles are helpful? I have not. That's like foraging, right? Amanda is doing a lot of herbalism stuff. There's constantly tinctures and vodka and herbs coming in. I see bags full of dandelion root coming in here and all kinds of shit. We've probably got 40, 50 bags that are, I mean, they're big bags full of different herbs and weeds and roots and all kinds of motions and potions, and she's making all kinds of stuff out of them. I don't know how you really test that shit. I mean, I'm not sick, so I can't test it for something. Hopefully it works. It's definitely going to work better than nothing. And she's constantly, she was studying that stuff every night. When she gets in bed, I've got, you know, a phone and a computer and a bunch of shit, and she gets in bed and just reads through these herbal medicine books. They're constantly coming in the door. We're buying hard copies of all kinds of stuff. So I'll let her maybe expand on that. I won last week. Thanks for the sweet gear. Right on. Max's Path. So speaking of Carnival Rides, because I just saw that part of the video, when my oldest daughter was about 5 or 6, she convinced me to go onto one my wife helped as well. I sit down on the seat and first realize that my head is going to clear the cross member that goes back and forth by only about an inch. And as the thing starts moving, I noticed a pile of bolts in the corner of the seat covered in some kind of grease. It was absolutely fucking terrifying. I was waiting for the whole thing to come apart at any moment. I think that qualifies as stupid places, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that you should, and I'm sure nowadays if you saw that, you'd be like, get the fuck off of this thing, we're not doing this, right? Because what if, I mean, imagine if your fucking kid got harmed and we had seen that. Josh Strivers, did you ever have the turtle bite nipple last summer? I've been looking for the video. We did not. We did have a lot of people that were like, I will do that. We had people here that were like, I will do that. That's a plastic surgery issue. Like, that turtle is going to remove the nipple and swallow the nipple. Not to mention the infection that's going to come from that. I think Dana got wind of it, and he's like, you better not do that. That's definitely not why we didn't. We usually do shit and then tell Dana finds out about it afterwards. But no, like, that's a serious, you know, that's like cutting somebody's fucking digit off. But really, I think it's probably worse because of the infection that will ensue with that. St. Jacobson, after 35 years of building your own business, what do you think has been the most important shift? After 35 years of building your own business, what do you think is the most important shift you've made in how you do things? What led you to that decision? I would say just fucking do it quickly, man. Like, you have to, number one, you're going to have to work more or get more done in the time that you do work, right? But if you can do both of those, that's the main thing. And especially a new business, none of that money comes from the company to buy toys. None of that money comes to buy shit that you're not going to immediately build, right? If you're just starting out in this business, you don't need a fucking $65,000 laser cutter, right? You don't. You should probably fucking figure out how to sew, buy a machine. I did this shit for probably 5 years with machines that are lighter weight than anything even in the building. And I didn't buy second and third machines to do other shit, right? Put your money into the materials, put your money into building your products, and I would also say build less fucking products. If you're constantly chasing, you don't know that you even have a business if you're constantly the yes man and you're trying to do everything for everybody. Learn to say no. No is very, very powerful. It keeps you from doing shit that you don't want to do. It also makes your brand more solid. I would say learn to say no, move fucking quicker, and stop fucking around. Like, if you take, especially, I assume since we're asking this question, you said after 30 years, but for a person starting a business, the business has to be your life. And if the business is your life for 5 years, then that's the difference between making $100,000 a year and making millions of dollars a year, is that first 5 years. Putting all that money back into the business, having money to react when the opportunity presents itself, having the money there. And really, I mean, I don't know. I want to say shit that doesn't hold true in most people's lives, right? Well, because when I say put everything you do is the business for 5 years, and they're like, well, I have kids, or I have a life, or I have a wife. Maybe you got the fucking wrong one if she's not there helping you do that or willing to, right? My kids grew up in the business. My children were never at babysitters. They were here while we were doing business when they were children, whether it be here or in San Diego, right? Amanda had a job making about $120,000 a year. She managed different salons over time for a really big corporation and made a lot of money. We made more money when she stepped inside the business and when we cut travel out, right? Because she was working 30 minutes away. We had daycare for the kids. We were constant. I'd drive up there and sleep at night with her. And then she'd come down and see me during the day after she dropped the kids off at school. And then she'd have to shoot. So just travel time and the reduction of mileage and daycare, and then consolidating homes, right? We all moved into my place, and It made a huge difference. I know that's not the question you asked, though.
I have a question that kind of builds on that. So he's asking you for business advice, and you've taken business advice from people that you agree with or that you think has something to offer. Was there a time where you didn't? Because, like, for me, I've started plenty of businesses, and most of them were, fuck you, I know what I'm doing, and then they never worked until I decided to start listening to other people who their shit worked. Was there a time where you...
No, I never took business advice. People came in to give business advice.
Mm-hmm.
Free advice is worth exactly that. It's not fucking worth anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never seeked anybody out. I was busy running my business. I didn't go to business places. We had, like, business advisors come in.
And that's not what I mean. I mean, like, listening to somebody...
No,
like,
it didn't exist.
Yeah.
It didn't
exist.
exist.
There's no internet.
Ed Milet, Andy Frisella is really where it started, and that was a few years ago. Had I listened to that a couple years earlier, we would be way ahead right now.
So it was just because it didn't exist. Like you
I didn't know to look for. I don't
exactly.
know. I didn't know to look for it.
Yeah, because for me it was I'm doing my own thing. I know what I'm doing, and I never did. You know, I had to like humble myself to listen to people that were already successful.
The people that know, like, you have to seek that out, right? You have to know it's there. If there's a dude in there telling you how to do some shit, he's probably not doing it, because if he was busy doing it, he wouldn't be fucking standing there telling you how to do it. Just remember that when people are giving you information on the internet, right? The guy giving you the free information, if his life doesn't look how you want your life to look, do not take you don't have time for it. Don't even allow him access to you.
I always see that with money YouTubers, because they're going to tell you how to get rich, but then they want you to like and subscribe, so...
It's always buy my thing.
Yeah, exactly, so they can make money off of the YouTube. Well, if you're that rich, you don't need that.
A lot of that, like, when you actually go to the seminar and it's $5,000 or it's $2,000 or whatever, they're going to show you how to do ClickFunnels and how to do affiliate marketing and how to do drop shipping through Amazon. And then they're really going to tell you that you're going to make your money on the $200 they're going to pay you for the online course, right? Because that's what they're doing. They're taking something that was on the internet for free and they have bundled it into a nicer package. Are they presentable? Do you align with them? Do they capture your attention? It's really, they're marketing themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Not all of them, but that's some of it. James Barton, the mentality that you have to just get shit done, similar to Andy Frisella, how did you acquire it? Was it just a switch that you flipped one day, or it was something that you had to train over time? No, I just did it, man. I just fucking did it. Dakota, who worked here for a couple of years, told me, hey, you should listen to Andy Frisella. He says a lot of the same things you say. And one day he just brought this fucking, I don't know if it was a phone or what, but he's like, here, listen to this. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Who is that? He's like, that's Andy Frisella, the dude I've been telling you to listen to. So I listened to like 10 of his videos that day, 10 episodes of the MFCEO podcast. And you can't listen to that and not move faster. That's literally all it comes down to, man. The real answer is no, I always fucking just move fast. Like, why would you not move fast? And I think it's the difference between a business owner and an employee, because people want to have this conversation all the time, and I'm like, not a business owner. If you started your own shit, it would click. You'd be like, oh, I fucking get it. And if you're paid to sit someplace for the amount of time you're there and you get a specific amount of pay for the time you're there, it doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't.
I think that goes back to what we were talking about last week with the people who want to retire and people who don't want to retire.
Yeah.
It's just two different types of people.
Yeah. Blockade Runner. What site do you use for domain register? I use GoDaddy. You have a ton of other options now. GoDaddy used to be the big prominent one that everybody knew of. I think you can do better. I know Jack Spirko talks about something. I know Nicole talks about some other place that are not GoDaddy. So I would just Google that or look into that. I don't know the answer to it. I've got 120 some domains. I don't remember. I've got over 100 domains and they're all on GoDaddy. I'm sure that you can find a better solution. Eric Holzer. I was looking through your facts and question and noticed your recommendation for Mystery Ranch packs. You're my go-to company for nylon gear. So when I see you recommend another nylon company for certain products, I pay attention. What is it about Mystery Ranch that you believe sets them apart from other I haven't even looked at other backpack companies. I've got Gregory. I've got I don't know. I have hundreds of backpacks. I have probably 20, 30 Mystery Ranch packs. If there's a dude killing bad guys around the world, they're getting issued Mystery Ranch. Mystery Ranch is what all the soft units are using, and it's just fucking great stuff. It's American made. You can check into them. I own a bunch of them. I really like the tri-zip. I like the way they splay out. I like the way the lid has the compartment underneath as well as on top. You can put your night vision, your batteries, commonly used things in there, and you can get any size. They make a pack frame that you can put chainsaws on. They make them for Broco cutting torches. They make them for oxyacetylene. Anything you need, they have a carrying solution for them. And if it's to the point where you need a bigger bag that's going to bear real weight, those are what I would look at. Most guys having that conversation, they don't need that application. Most guys, not all. Andreas Snow, as a business owner, how do you decide what products to put out to your customers? I know you've been in business for a long time, but my husband and I are just starting out. We have a couple of products that are already sold out for the year. I think that we should make these people, like if we're going to have this conversation, they should tell us what their fucking product is.
Yeah.
Like, because how do I answer? I don't know what your market is. Like, I don't know what you're building. Oh, and what breed rabbits. So the way I do business, you might not be able to do that. Like, I have a name for myself that I've developed over decades. So here's how I do it. This might work terribly for you, especially if you're trying to build a brand name. If I think I can sell 100 of something, we're only making 80 of it. Here's the real fucking answer. We're only making 80 of it. Why do we do that? So that there's urgency. Because I need all of my product that I pay my employees to build, I need it to sell. And when there is urgency and there is a restriction of availability, my customers and my clients know that they have to act quickly. If I walk around the building and you see that I have cop rigs still hanging there and you see them every night, you have no urgency to buy them, whether you realize that or not. So, and we also, if you notice, we'll make rigs, and then we'll make bags, and then we'll make pouches, and then we'll make backpacks, and then we'll make, it's hit it, quit it, on to the next thing. And that's why our stuff sells out so fast. I don't have dealers. I don't want to put my product in somebody else's hands and allow them to, or not control them to put it on sale, and now all of my customers are going over there. Those dealers already paid me for that product. So any dollar that they get from a customer from SOE, that's a dollar not coming in here. And while I'm sending my customers to dealers and they're buying stuff, they're buying other product that's also not SOE because they're already paying shipping on it. So I manipulate my market. A lot of companies do that. It's basically what Supreme does as well. And there's guys pissing and moaning about it. And most of the guys complaining about it, it's not me they're complaining about. It's these small companies building small chest rigs. They call it drip marketing. They drip it out, right? That's not what we're doing, not intentionally. And the guys complaining about it that you see on the review channels, they're buying like Amazon gear and shit. They're literally just, they're not airsoft dudes. They're with real guns, but they just go out and do gun game stuff. So it would really help if I knew what it was that you were actually, what your stuff was, right? Because if I tell you, because my thing is, when a customer's like, hey, can I get this thing? I'm like, no, you fucking can't. It wasn't important enough for you to get it 2 weeks ago when we had it. Now that we don't have it, you want it, and you want me to run them again, right? You probably can't tell your customer that as a new, and I don't specifically tell them that, but that's how I feel. Dude last night on video was like, hey, when are you going to run multicam 8KM4 micros? We've run multicam 8KM4 micros 3 times in the last, I don't know, 2 months probably. And then they're like, a guy today was like, hey, I want 2 cop rigs. I'm like, I have one in Coyote, but I want 2. Well, we had 2. I had 2 about a week ago. And then 4 weeks ago when we ran them all, I had 24 of them. Well, it wasn't important enough for you to fucking buy it, and it was important enough for everybody else to buy it. I can't fathom these. You carry guns, right? I would assume that everybody that watches my videos carries a gun, right? But I get these emails where dude's like, hey, I forgot to put the code in my order. Well, guess what? The other 300 people tonight didn't forget to put the code in your order. So You want me to go in and manually manipulate some shit I'm not even sure how to do. So my answer is canceled and refunded. And then they go to order it and the shit's not there. Because somebody else fucking bought it as soon as I refunded it, and there was a 20-minute lag for you to go back and order it. Somebody else bought it when it auto-populated. That's just, I am not the best at customer servicing.
That's what I was going to say. I might be wrong at this, but I think most people who say that they have a business, they have an Etsy store, and your buyer on Etsy is grandmothers and housewives, and that means you're in the customer service business.
Right. And
it doesn't matter what you sell, you're in the customer service business.
And I've talked to Andrea Snow. I don't remember what it is she makes, though.
Yeah, like I don't know specifically about her, but I just see a lot of entrepreneurs, you know what I mean, that probably are doing something like Etsy. You know?
Maybe. And what breed of rabbits do you have? Or are you just raising whatever? We raised ones in Texas that were heat tolerant. So the heat tolerant rabbits in Texas are the Texas A&M rabbits. And they are available. They're out there. I am raising Californias and New Zealand's. And I've probably got a Rex or two in there. But Californias and New Zealand's. They're pretty similar rabbit. It's a heavy breed meat rabbit. It was 105 some days this week. Heat tolerant hasn't been my issue. I'm curious how the heat tolerant rabbits do at 0 degrees. I would assume that they're rabbits, right? I would assume they're fine. Maybe add some straw. A couple of years ago, it was really cold. We weren't sure how the rabbits were going to do, so we put straw in there, and they just fucking made a mess of it. And when you put straw in there and you don't pull it out every week and change the straw out, you get concrete with piss and shit and straw. But we have Californias and New Zealand's, and
you have some of them in those tractors that have tin roofs on them, so it's probably hotter in there.
So I thought it was. We made them taller. I think that if I was going to do them again, I'd make them lower, because they're tall enough right now that it's a stretch for me to get in them. So if you had a kid or Amanda, there's times when I need to get to the back side where I'm literally balancing, on my gut there.
But they seem to be heat tolerant, even though they're not marketed as heat tolerant.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned. Like, I also see people all the time, they're like, don't breed them in the summer, or they won't breed in the summer because the male goes sterile. We ain't had none of that shit either. Fucking, like, we have rabbits all the time. I think a lot of people say stuff about rabbits and chickens that they just fucking repeat that somebody else heard. And I think every time they even embellish it a little bit themselves, it's like playing telephone.
Absolutely.
Evan Dixon, who would you recommend as a permaculture expert that we could hire to plan out a homestead layout on raw land? I have a couple dudes, Evan, and we should have a conversation, and I will put you on to the one that would be best for you. Chuck Peoples, at this time and point in your life, what do you feel is most important thing to invest time and effort into? Business, fitness, preparedness, the compound, networking, your immediate, all of them. Like, that's the real no bullshit answer. All of them. Because you're not going to do one without the other, right? Because we keep having this conversation about the end of the world, or society is coming to an end, or we're not going to have food, right? Do we really believe that? Are you still paying your property taxes? Are you still paying the IRS? Are you still making payments on your credit card? The answer for 99% of the people that we're going to do it anyways, yes, the answer is yes. The 1%, I don't think there's many people out there that are like, fuck the system, let's default everything, world's coming to an end, they're not coming to collect. You probably have 1% of people that do that anyways, right? That just don't pay their bills, and it fucks their credit up, and maybe you don't care. I'm not talking to you, Chuck. I think all of it, man. Right before we rolled in here, I was working out. I worked out about an hour ago, and then right after that, I was sewing. And then I was with Cody. How many more of these are we going to cut? The covert rigs, we're building covert rigs right now. How many are we going to make? What colors are we going to make? How many more of the ankle rigs? So the answer is all of it, right? As soon as everybody leaves, I'm going to be outside working outside. So that's the preparedness stuff. Today is Thursday, so I will probably work on my relationship, which means Amanda's going to drive an hour, and I'm going to fuck around on this and do some social media texting, and I'm going to call it business, and it's going to drive some new traffic and build some hype in some places we're not out. Just all of it, man. Absolutely all of it. John Witherspoon had gotten back. Also, I talked to John, and he was like asking about retiring. He's like, no, I wasn't asking you about retiring. I'm asking me about retiring.
Yeah.
Now, John, I don't know your people, but typically when you're peopling, you've got that right-hand guy, right? You've got the 4 or 5 people around this table standing here, right? Let's say there's 5 of us. One of those dudes is the guy that's going to okay, let's go, let's get this done, right? And he starts going, he gets the truck, he gets the other 2 guys, you grab this, you grab that. That's probably the dude that should be in charge. That's your 10% of the people do 80% of the stuff, right? Typically when you have a project, let's say we were going to build something here and we had 10 people show up. 10 people is too much to build something here, unless they all have a skill, right? You've got a drywaller, you've got a sheetrocker, you've got a guy that can put the trusses in, you know, stuff like that. Most of the time left to their own devices, though, if you're going to work on some weekend project, there's really 2 people doing that shit. The other guys are just standing around. And really, truth be told, they're in the way. If you have a bunch of dudes talking, it's slowing down the other dudes. That's why I wear earphones all the time, because I'm listening to whatever I want to listen to, but it also keeps people from having fucking conversations with me that are not important. If it's important, they'll be like, hey, I need to talk to you, and then I'll take my earphones out. But it cuts down probably 75% of the communication, the bullshitting and slowing me down in the building through the day. When I walk in and there's no talking, I know all the girls have their headphones in. I know we're going to have 20, 30% more work completed. If you see them in there without earphones on, you know there's going to be 20 to 30% less work. Now the question is, will your other people follow that guy? You're in a little different situation in that you've moved into this area or own the area, and the people that are within your crew or your group or your mag, they all own properties there, right? You guys get along. I see that, you know, you meet up on the weekends and you fucking slaughter a pig. I see you guys working on projects. I know you guys have like a community garden together. Seems pretty good. By default, though, there always has to be one dude that has the final answer. So I don't know how to give you those answers, John. I don't know those people. Everybody you've brought here, though, seems very fucking solid. I think it's usually your gut, your first gut instinct. That's usually almost right. It's almost always right. John asked, I was recently lucky enough to get one of your Red Strider SOE knives and have been carrying it every day since. Is this a mistake? With a knife this valuable, does it acquire a hardy, better knife for my everyday use? Okay, so you have an awesome knife that is beautiful. That's your barbecue knife. You put that on when you put your Rolex on, and when you put on your fucking Cayman boots or your ostrich boots, right? You don't take your crocodile boots. Well, I don't know, maybe you do. Most people don't take their crocodile boots out and get in the fucking pig pen, right? And get pig shit all over them. And that's what you're doing. You can totally, when you go to dinner, wear that knife. When you got your, I don't know, maybe you go to dinner in overalls. I could totally see John at like fucking Kane Prime with some fucking overalls on. But I have something similar to the knife you have. I also have one of the knives you have. And this is my beater. And this is what I carry. I'm not going to be sad if I snap the tip on this. If I need to open manhole covers, I'll fucking pry that open. If I need to cut wire cable, I'll do that with this. This knife has damage. This knife is dull. This knife is fucking always got blood or salmonella from raw chicken. I was cutting raw chicken with this today. I'm not going to do that with my other knife. I'm also not going to take this dirty ass knife and put it in pants when I put on tonight. I'm going to go take a shower before we go out tonight, and I'm going to put on almost this exact set of clothes, except it's going to be clean. It's going to be a clean set of fucking Katanica pants. It's going to be a brand new clean pair of shoes, and it's going to be probably this exact same shirt out of a bag. And then I'm going to put on that red knife you're talking about, and I'm going to put on a watch, and I'm going to take and put a few different things in my pocket, and then I'm going to get in my brand new clean truck. So yeah, I mean, I would get you another knife. If you want a really robust knife like you have, we can help source that for you. You're probably about $750. You could get a zero tolerance knife, which is pretty robust, for a couple $100. A production knife, right? It won't say Strider on it, but it will serve you well for 99% of the shit you're gonna do.
That's why I don't own any nice knives. I want nice knives. I like nice knives. But like with watches, most of the things that I do every day is not going to be enough to break a watch. But when you're using a knife, it's fucking up the way that pretty knife looks.
So only use a knife for knife things.
Yeah.
I don't have a pry bar or a big flat blade screwdriver in my pocket. Mm-hmm. But if I was going to do screwdriver shit, I've broke tips off of a lot. Mick gave me a Mick Strider Custom for my birthday when I first came home from prison. And I was putting a new doorknob on one of the kids' bedrooms, and the kick plate, the plate didn't fit. So I'm
chiseling it
I'm scraping it, and I'm cutting it out, and I'm prying it, and it heard the tip break off of that thing.
Yeah, see, that would hurt
right?
my feelings.
A screwdriver or a chisel would have done that job much faster and not broken my fucking $1,200 knife at the time.
Yeah.
So, and had you bought Striders and just put them away, they're worth way more money. Man, they've literally doubled in price.
The first time in recent history, I know you guys have a lot of history with Strider, but the first time in recent history, like maybe 10 years ago, you guys dropped a Strider. It was like $500. And I almost bought one, and the next day people were selling them for like $1,500, and that was when I knew like this is something.
We didn't know the market, so we didn't know the market. The first one I put up was at 600. There was 25 of them. Mm-hmm. There was actually like 26 of them. There's 0, 1, 2, 3. We retained 1 through 3 for myself and the kids, and then there's the back end 25. Right, so they're serialized. They're numbered. The first one we put up was at $600. We were in Jackson at Starbucks. There was only one Starbucks there at the time. We went inside, got some coffee, came back out. I look, inventory's at 0. She's like, that knife sold. I go, I probably didn't hit apply, right? So I look at orders, recent orders. There's an order, click it, knife, there it is for that dollar amount. So I put another one up at $700. We went and ate, came out, it was sold. Way home, I put one up for $9. It sold immediately.
Yeah.
And then we stopped. And then we stopped. So the dude that bought the first one at $600 had a bunch of bullshit going on, and he had to put $200 on a card, and then $300 on a card, and $100. So Amanda had to jump through a bunch of hoops so this motherfucker could buy this knife, right? Mm-hmm. We next date him out. So he got it the following day, and he put it on eBay. Buy it now for $2,500.
Yeah, I
and it sold right away, and she was pissed. I go, don't be mad. I go, do not be mad. That means every one of these knives is worth $2,500.
Yeah.
Every fucking one of them.
See, so back then I didn't know anything about knives, and I still don't know much about knives, but I was talking myself out of it because $500 for a knife is outrageous. But then the next day it was worth $2,500, you know? And that was like my first education into knives could be an investment.
Well, we come out of the gate right now with all the others at $2,000.
Yeah.
Every one of them. I mean, 2,000 is the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I got guys come in, and I have some left. And dudes are like, hey, I want to buy one of those. I'm like, man, I don't really want to sell it. I want $3,500. He's like, you won't do 2? I'm like, nah. It's more valuable to me to have 5 of them sitting on a shelf together. I have a shelf with multiples of every one we've done, and it's more important to me to have that fucking lit case with those knives than to have that $35 that I'm never going to be able to identify what I did with the $3,500.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. I'm gonna hand it to my guys. I'm gonna fucking pass it out when dudes do good shit. I'm gonna be like, hey, here's an extra $500. Thanks for fucking how good you did this week. I'm not gonna be able to tell you what I did to it. I'm just gonna hand the money to other people. I have some of the original black and red knives. Mm-hmm. I have them brand new in bags, sitting in a safe.
Yeah.
I don't care. I haven't tried to sell them.
Yeah, because you'd rather have that than the money.
Yeah, I just don't care. And a lot of times guys get them, and I'm like, man, I'd rather that motherfucker not have it. I'd rather break this knife in half than sell it to this guy. Like, it is important to me who owns those.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest.